Hey, good people.
Welcome to Love Out Loud with the Dudes podcast. We have tough conversations about our relationships to help you improve yours.
We're not perfect. We're just sharing our journey in hopes you can avoid some of the hurdles we've had to overcome.
This is a safe space.
Let's improve our relationships together as we love out loud.
Welcome back, family. I'm Joe.
And I'm Amani, and this is
Love Out Loud with the Dudes.
So, welcome back, family. We're going to do a continuation of last week's episode.
Yep. Part 2.
Where we talked about forgiveness and navigating tough relationships.
Yeah, because we had a very interesting conversation and we got some feedback. And first, I want to ask you how you think the conversation went.
Last week, I think it went great. Actually, it's so funny. Is the relationship that I was talking about in the video. I actually did end up. They did come forward and apologize and take ownership for the things that happened. So I did end up forgiving them, and we're able to move forward, which I think is so funny. But we are not at a level 10 relationship. I still have my boundaries in place. I still have my needs that have to be met. So we're at a level 3, and I think it's going great for a level 3.
That's great. That's right. You look beautiful, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you look great.
Thank you so much. You're not like a little chocolate moon.
Yeah, I know. Brown always look good on you.
You know?
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Well, that's great, though. You're at level 3. Y'all moving accordingly. That's great. And then, especially right after the episode, I don't know if the episode had anything to do with it, maybe not,
Maybe.
But I'm glad that it's moving forward, progressing in a positive manner. So, one of the questions we got was...
I can read it. Let me read it.
Sure.
So the question was... I'll read the whole comment. So it says, this was another episode that spoke to me. One of the things that was said was continuing relationship connection with someone who you want to have a relationship with, but they continue to hurt you, and it's hard to continue if that's who they are. I've disconnected myself from so many people because I was hurt and did not know how to have that conversation. But what do you do if they don't care or apologize for hurting you, expecting you to move on or just get over it? So this is such a great question because I think we're both going to have two totally different perspectives on this.
Yeah, the first part, they said where they're constantly getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm not putting myself in those situations where I'm constantly getting hurt. And I think the way I do that is I lower my expectations. And not saying I lower them all the way to the floor, but I learn the individual. I learn their capacity, what they're capable of. So we talked about my dad in the first part 1, right? So I'm bringing back up. I understand who he is as a person. Like, I judge people based upon who they are versus with their life and their circumstances. So me knowing my father and knowing all of the adversity that he faced and how he was brought up and the things he had to overcome, I know, yes, like the resilience story is there, but I also look at that story and see what he lacked along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's a lot of things he does not possess because he never learned it. He was never taught it, and he also chose not to ever learn it.
For sure.
So me knowing that about him, I'm like, okay, I only can operate in a space in which that does not exceed his capabilities. So he's someone that, like I spoke to previously, you gotta take in doses. Like, he gets loud, but that's his tone of voice. That's how he expresses himself. And I know sometimes he likes to try to take me there, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally. He takes me there sometimes. Well, I'm not going to say that. Let me take that back. I allow him to take me there sometimes. So in that, when I realize, because I'm not all the way like healed through that situation, so when he gets me there, sometimes I retract because I realize, oh, it's happening again. Let me end this conversation, or let me switch subjects, or let me do something else because I don't want to go there. To the second part of that question is to someone who doesn't want to do anything about it or expect you to do anything. Or so, like, my dad has a hard time taking accountability. The reason why is because he's never had to. He grew up without a mother and pretty much without a father. So he was never taught it. And then him being on his own throughout his pretty much his whole life, he learned that the things he had to navigate to overcome his adversity is what he thought was best because it worked. That's just like when people come out with all these videos and things about how things work, it's not saying that it's the only way. Well,
right, it's the way that they know.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So me knowing that about my father, you take that as the same example. He has never really took the opportunity to see other ways that work because that worked for him. So, and me knowing this, I know it's going to be a hard sell to try to help him see anything outside of what he's already saw and what he's calculated to get to for, right? So I try not to go that route. And even when he do things that I do not like, I understand that's who he is. Sometimes it's not intentional. Sometimes it's just a habit that he has of not always expressing that he cared, or even coming to a point of understanding that he needs to apologize because he never really had to. My dad has a mentality where it's bump everybody, and he'll stand 10 toes on that side. So me knowing this, I'm like, okay, well, I know he want to have relationship, especially with me. With me, I know he do.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. What makes you think that he wants to have relationship with you?
Because I'm his son, and
that part is like a given, right? Like we're married.
Right.
Your mom is your mother.
Right.
Like that part is given.
Right.
What makes you think that, because he doesn't have the relationship that even he has with you with his other children.
Right.
So what makes you think that he wants to have a relationship with you?
Because of the things he tells me, like how he aspires to have these things, right? And let me go a little further on that note. He aspires to have these things, but it's a lot of things he do not do to get them. I'm gonna put that out there. But I understand that my dad is not willing to change. It's one thing my father has taught me is that you can't make anyone change. Like they have to want to change for themselves. He taught me that at a very early age, and I apply that same principle with him. He says a lot of things, but I understand that his actions don't always reflect that. Sometimes they do, and it's glimpses of that where he learns, and that does not stop me from teaching him. I still drop nuggets here and there, and sometimes he pick them up, sometimes he don't. But I understand that who I have to be in order to have a relationship with him, and I am okay with being the person that I need to be to have a relationship with him because I really enjoy my father. I tell people all the time, like, I don't know where I would be without him because yes, he has a lot of bad qualities, but he possesses a lot of great ones, and he helped me become the man I am today. So for that, if that's the trade-off that I have to have for that, I'm okay with having that because there's a lot of things he can still teach me, and I'm still learning. Whether I tell people all the time, whether what to do or what not to do, it's a lot of things that he do that I wouldn't do, that I understand why he such stuff that happened to him or has happened to him because of the things that he has done. So I say, oh, I don't want that, so I'm not gonna do that. So like it's still that father-son bond where he teaching me in a lot of different ways. My dad taught me how to sew when I was like 7, and like even when we go fishing, like he teaching me how to like hook loop sinkers and hooks onto the fishing rods and things of that.
Right, and I can appreciate those things, right? I don't want to belittle them. I can appreciate those things because those are things that, even when I was talking about a previous episode, that I yearn for in relationships that I have with people, is that close commonality. I guess my question is, when things get hurtful and disrespectful, do those moments overshadow, and there's no accountability or apology for them, there's no ownership, it's just like, I said what I said and that's it, do those moments overshadow these moments, the fishing,
no, it's like it's sometimes it's the same. Sometimes I know that my dad not gonna apologize. Sometimes or not right away. He gotta feel it, like where he'll come around and say, "Man, you know I ain't really mean it like that," or like, because that's who he is, right? But that's what I'm saying. But even if the times he don't, okay, we go to times he don't, right? I understand that that's who he is, and for me, it's not. It's different for me because I don't hold on to stuff.
But you're willing to deal. You're willing to have that type of relationship, to have a relationship.
Yeah, because like for me, that just made me. I just can't. I'm not gonna talk to him for a few weeks, you know, like or a month or something, because I gotta get right with me. I gotta get myself back together to understand that this was who I'm dealing with, because he has never shown times of apology or accountability, so it's like, why would I expect it now?
So that takes me back to, how do you know he wants to have a relationship?
Because when I have the moments of not speaking to him, he reached out to me like he missed me. You know, I love you. Like you my son. You know, you my firstborn. You my junior. Like he started pouring his heart out to me, like in ways in which he don't normally do on a regular. So I'm like, okay, well.
Yeah, but why don't you do that then, though? Why don't you do that in the times that we good? Why when we're good, right? You can't express how much you love and appreciate me, and you want to have a relationship with me. Why does it have to get to us at the end of the rope, like you have completely disrespected me and treated me like a stranger on the street, and now you want to come forward and be like,
the reason
it's not that deep.
The reason I think it's like that is because in that moment, in those moments, whenever it's happening, he don't fully understand what he's doing until I don't always think he do, and until he gets to a point.
Why don't you think that?
I think like
if when, and I'm not going to say the scenario, but let's take you to a scenario with these. You know what I'm talking about?
The ties?
Yes. Okay. Like that part. Okay. Let me say the whole thing first. Okay. Like, the things that were done and said that day to you, to your face.
I don't even remember some of them, but
I'll never forget because that, like, but that's, I may not remember my things, but I can remember your things because that hurt me that day.
See, for me, my daddy is petty. I know he's petty. Like, that's part of him. Like, that's because he hasn't worked on it. That's why, like, when I realized the situation with old dude.
So how do he get to come back in with no?
I know he's petty. So it's like, for me, I understand the level which I got to have a relationship with him. Like how you talk about level 3s, level 5s, and 10s.
What level y'all on? Just so I can, just for reference, so I can know.
I'm gonna say,
what level do y'all rate?
I'm gonna say we on a healthy.
This is just good. Go ahead.
We on a healthy like 5, 6.
You want me to have that at a level 5? Okay, go ahead.
No, because what I'm saying is it's different because I understand people. So for me, I don't hold stuff because I don't want it inside of me. But who they are, what they do, I don't want that in me. That's why, like, when we go to my doctor's appointments, I be really straight for real because I don't hold none of that. Like, I let people be who they are, and once you show me who you are that person. So then I'll rock with you accordingly. That's why I say sometimes I don't answer my dad's call. Like when he'll call or something, hang up. He know that we have better conversations when we text because he don't get to do all that rah-rah stuff because he upset. But it's like I gotta understand too, like, my dad has been through so many traumatic experiences. Like, that's the only way he know how to operate. It's been his, like, surviving or saving grace, like, for him his entire life. So why would he change now?
Okay. Period. So because somebody has been away for their entire life, and you have been helping teach them and make them more aware of these things for the last, I don't know, 10 years, you feel like if they make no progress or this much progress, then it's okay because they've been like this their entire life.
Because I know who that person is. Now, if he, like when I said he changed some of his verbiage, right, which is a positive to me, because my father is somebody who don't care about nothing. It will die on whatever sword, like, he feels as though necessary. So it's like when he does those little changes, I don't take them as small. I really appreciate them, but I understand if he does nothing else, this is who this person is. And I enjoy my father. Like, I enjoy the good parts, the good qualities that he had, enough to say, you know what, I'm gonna take this and that, because nobody's perfect. Yes, he got a lot of negative, bad qualities, but he's a good person who just really, at the root of it, never really truly felt loved. And me knowing this, I understand that's why he lash out and do a lot of things that he do, because he never really felt loved. He never really had nobody to nurture him.
But if I'm giving that to him, and I've been giving that to him consistently,
he don't know. Sometimes he don't even know how to identify it, or he don't know how to give it back because he never really truly experienced it from the people he felt he should have it from.
So then, how do you know what you're giving as love is being received as love?
Because I make sure, like how we navigate our relationship. Like, when I would say things to you and you not receive it right away, and then later on you would do it or something, then I bring it up. Like, remember I was telling you about that before, and like now we in a different space where you could actually hear me, and then you go like, oh yeah, you know, we move forward. It's the same thing I do with him. It's like sometimes people gotta feel like it was their idea, like how you taught me. So when I make him aware, once he feel like it was his idea, and then I say, remember I told you this back then. So now he can be like, oh, okay. So not only do he see that, yes, I was right, because it's a thing too, me realizing that since I've been a kid, I've had a lot of right answers for a long time, and people don't see me as, well, they did not see me as a person who had the answers because of my age. So I've been trying to help people older than me my entire life, and when it comes to that, it's always been a resistance from me, because people feel as though you too young, you ain't experienced nothing, you don't know what you're talking about. Whole time I was able to get them to see better and actually have the right answer. So now when it gets to, like, a lot of people now have shifted to understand, like, oh, he really know what he's talking about.
Right.
But my dad, sometimes he do, sometimes he don't. And I understand it may be him trying to navigate his old ways versus his new ways. But I give grace because I don't know. But I also know he's been a person who ain't never listened to me. Like, I had to convince him for a long time, and I'm like, okay, well, I understand that the more I know, the more I share. So yes, he don't take everything that I say to him openly, or think sometimes, but that's his defense system, because it's what he had to utilize his entire life to survive. So even though I'm his son, I help him understand that, hey, you shouldn't have to be this way with me because I'm not somebody on the street.
Right.
But if he grouped everybody into that, because you gotta understand, like, his family was the closest thing to him that did him wrong. So he look at family different than most people. So I gotta say, hey, I'm not like them. Even though you should know this, you don't. So hey, this is something that you should know, because if you don't know, I'm about to teach you and tell you, like, this is, you don't have to, the relationship you and I have ain't like everybody else's. You should have known this based off all the things I have done for you, and I still continue to do for you. But since you don't, I'm going to remind you, because I'm not going to stop doing them, because I actually love you and I know you need my help. But I'm going to remind you periodically. I'm not gonna do it every chance I get because I'm gonna give you grace. But when it gets to a point in which I gotta tell you, and you gonna identify. And but my dad does come around and understand, like, oh dang man, you was right. You know, oh that does make a lot of sense. Or he'd be hard on himself and say, man, that was a dumb move of me or something like that. And I understand that's him in his way taking accountability. Because he realized, like, dang, that was stupid in a mug. I'm like, yeah, it was, but you good, you know. It ain't got to be that bad because it's a lesson learned. And he's only had to do things one way. He's only been able to do things one way, his way. And when I helped him understand, like, it's more than one way to get to your destination, he's open to see it, because not only is time gone, but he's getting older. So now he has to move smarter because he don't have youth on his side. So now it's giving him an opportunity to really understand me in the way that in which I've been trying to teach him this entire time.
And do you think he's improving?
Yes and no. I think it's case by case basis, because certain things it just depends. Because like I tell him, like, oh, if it was me, I wouldn't have did that. I would have did this, because you know, time is more valuable than money. And for somebody who's always had a hustler's mentality, you think the money is worth more than your time. And I'm like, but that's a whole social construct that I gotta shift his mind to understand, because he been hustling since he was 12 years old. So I'm like, no, the time is worth more than that. So until I could give him more examples of understanding how more valuable his time is, it's gonna take him to really get more scenarios under his belt for him to really comprehend, like, oh, this is this, this is this, this is this, and this is this. Like, it's not just over in this area. It could be applied to all these different areas. So I'm like, okay, well, let me help you apply it to here, because you might not see it that way. But that's why I understand a lot of people are like that. Like, not that particular issue, but just understand how to identify each thing could be tied into something else. Sure. I was like that. Like when you was like, well, how you don't understand that? Because I didn't comprehend that goes with that as well. I now know that, like that cup red and, you know, things like that, but like not like all these cuts could be combined together per se, because I never really understood that. I never really looked at life like that. So when I understand, because that's something that I had to work on, I'm like, oh, well, if I know I had to work on that, I know it's a lot of people that also got to work on that. So that's why I try to give more and more examples on that. But I really don't think I answered that question, but because I'm like, because what I realized too, like, to me, it is based upon the person and what relationship you want to have with them. Like if it was somebody else, like a friend or something like that, I'm straight. Like, I'm not about to convince you that you need me in your life. If you feel as though you don't need me, I'm gonna let you move accordingly, because I know the value of me. I know the value that I bring. So I'm not in a convincing business when it comes to people that I really don't have to have a relationship with. Like, if you're not benefiting me in any way, like my dad, like, if he was somebody who did not help me in ways in which that I know I need help, that I can learn from, I wouldn't be doing what I do. But my dad has so much wisdom based upon life experiences that he's able to teach me. And I take them and I apply them, and sometimes I tweak them to make them better, because I know more than he did when the time it took him to learn that lesson.
Right. And times have changed a lot.
Exactly. So like, I'm not gonna negate that, because it's so many people. Like, I used to tell people all the time, like kids in like grade school, like, they used to say, well, my daddy dead. I watched my dad get shot. Like, they shot 7 times through the front door, and I watched my dad lay dead on the floor, or my dad been locked up since I was born, and I'm like, I used to tell kids all the time, I'm sorry to hear that, because I know what it was like having a father in the house. And then I know what it was like to not have a father in the house when they broke up. And I seen how my life changed. So for somebody to go through that from birth and never really know their father, or father got life in prison, they never had a father, like, I don't take that lightly. Like, we come from an environment in which fathers weren't present in the home for a plethora of reasons. But the fact that I had my father and I still do the way in the capacity in which I have him, I'm grateful for it. I'm not taking none of that time for granted, because like I said before, they're not going to be here forever. And like, I want to make sure that when they go, that I left really no stone unturned, that I could be at peace. That's how I deal with grief. I don't let the bad moments outweigh the good ones, and I understand that nobody's perfect. I deal with them the way in which I know that I need for healthy boundaries for me, but I also let them have some space, and I also give them grace to be better. I'm not gonna not tell them the things in which they do. That's one thing about me, is that I'm gonna put it on the flow every single time. I'm not gonna let you skate on nothing, because I need you to know how I feel. I need you to know it was wrong. I need you to know what it is, because not gonna be a gray area on nothing. You're not gonna say you did not know, because I don't care about your feelings.
And I think that's where our boundary lines are different. Like, I look at something that you would accept as like too far for me. So you're like, some of the things that you deal with different people, and we talk about this all the time, like just your relationships, friendships, everything. I'm like, wow, like that is a lot. Like, in my mind, I've never went to that extent. Like, there's no, like, for instance, friendships and different things. You like, oh, I hit this person up, or I did this and this, and I was like, wow, like that. Like,
yeah, but
that
you don't call nobody.
Yes, I do.
You really don't.
Yes, I do.
You really don't. See, for me,
I do my level. I feel like I do my level. You are a person who want to talk to your friends like every week. At least every week. At least every week.
I used to. I chilled out a whole lot.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like, what's your standard? You want to talk to your friends like every week. Since high school, I think high school was the last time, maybe like a little bit of college, that I wanted to talk to my friends every week. But other than that, I took the journey of getting into my work and my career. So I didn't have the time to sit and talk to my friends every single week. Yes, I love you. Yes, I appreciate you. Yes, you've been great. But I didn't have the capacity to be like, hey, what'd you do today?
See,
you know what I'm saying?
but my conversations wasn't that shallow. Like, my conversations, I'm trying to figure out, like, how can I help, or how can we help each other? You, like, even now, like, you don't really call nobody. Like, you might talk to your friends once a quarter, and for me, it's like
I do call people. I don't know where you get this from.
I'm on a standard of, like, the reason I fell back is because I'm looking for new friends. Not that I don't value the old ones, but it's like I need some new friends for this new level of my life in which they can help me become greater.
And I feel like that's where I expend my time. So if our last conversation, I left you with homework, not saying, if you come to me for business advice or something that you want to do as far as your business or your career or something, I leave you with homework, things to do. We talk again and you haven't done it. One, you have to be able to help me as well. So in having friendships and relationships, the people that I am going to call are the people that can help me as well. It is emotionally draining to call someone who you only pour out to all the time.
Right.
Only.
Right.
There should be give and take to every friendship and every relationship.
Right.
So if the only way that, even if I'm calling you and you like, hey, I need help with my business and this, and I'm like, okay, this is what you should do, and you like, okay, that's what I did, and then I came up with this, and now I need help with this. Like, I would rather do that than to just talk to somebody who's consistently stagnant in one spot, who can't help me and is not helping themselves.
But you only talk to your friends about business stuff.
No, I do not.
Well, I'm saying majority of them. Like, it's like, for me, right? Like, I got
Where do you get that from?
Okay, I'll take that back. I got male friends.
No, but like, where do you get that from?
I don't really see you talk to nobody for real.
I just talked to 3 people today.
And where was I?
At the gym.
Okay.
Like, but that's not, like, I don't even know how you could conjure up in your head like that. I don't talk to people.
Okay.
I talk to people all the time. And
Okay.
what do you be talking about that you feel like?
No, so like for me, right? Like with some of my friends that's older than I, right? I talk to them about life stuff.
Like what?
Like stuff that I like my dad can't teach me, right? So like how to navigate people in a way in which like from my perspective. My dad don't see life the way I see life. So I'm like, let me talk to these other male friends of mine and give them my perspective so that they can see my side and then see somebody else's side. Because sometimes I don't always see somebody else's side. So let me get some advice from that way.
Right. And I think your perspective on that is jaded because you're not there for all of the conversations that I have.
Agreed.
With my friends. So to say that I only talk to them about business is not... I probably haven't talked to a friend about business in months.
That's why I said I'll take it back.
I know, but I don't even know why you said it. That, like, really... I don't even know why you said that. I really honestly don't. I have not had a conversation like that in months.
Okay, so the people you talked to today, did you call them?
Yes. Why are you laughing? What is funny?
Because I rarely see you call people. That's all. Like, call friends. They normally call and check on you.
I mean, I operate a little bit differently than you do. So, like, I'll text my friends. Or I have a friend that we just talk in Snapchat. Like, we just video record, minute videos in Snapchat and talk back and forth. So, like, I don't have to pick up a phone. I have a friend I talked to today. She was out hiking. We text the whole time she was out hiking. Like, I have friendships and relationships. They just don't look like yours.
Right.
But I don't think my relationships are any less than your relationship. If I called any of my friends, they would come and be here today. As soon as I told my friends that we were expecting a baby, they started sending gifts.
Right.
There's a room full of gifts from my friends, the ones you say I never called, never talked to, only talked about business with. There's a room full of gifts from those friends.
Agreed.
So I am having relationships, in-depth relationships with these people.
I take it
they just
back.
look different than yours.
I said I take it
You
back.
said that with your chest, like you felt it, like it was coming from a place of remembrance.
I take it back.
Memory.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I realized that a lot of the people that I had a relationship with, it was me trying to fix problems that they didn't want fixed, or they didn't even realize or they don't even identify as a problem. So I fell back. And I started creating content around that, because if they don't believe it's a problem, that doesn't necessarily mean somebody else isn't looking for an answer to that problem. So I realized that they are still people who have real life issues that I can help somebody else. And I realized that, I said before, that some people switch because they not happy with their life. So if they not happy with theirs, then they can't be happy for me. And I don't need nobody around me that can't be happy for me, because it's going to be jealousy, envy, and maybe a little strife there. And I don't want that to be a part of our relationship. So I'm going to fall back and then allow the people to call me, because I was the one calling. So I got to a point of just changing my focus on me and not other people.
Right, and now I feel like you're at the space that I was at years ago. That's why I don't judge where your friendships are now, because you're not making all of, like, when we first got together, you were making a lot of outbound interactions. I wasn't making a lot of outbound interactions, and I told you why. And now you're at the place where you're not making as any outbound interactions, but I feel like a lot of those relationships that you have are even stronger than they were before, or different than they were before.
I'll say different. I won't say stronger.
Okay, I would say different than they were before, for sure. To answer, because I want to answer the question too. For me, I find it very hard to move forward unless there's accountability, because it puts me in a place where I have to keep being open to being hurt. It's like the wound is open and it never closed, and then they can keep poking at it and doing the same thing. So if somebody, is doing something that I'm asking them not to do to me consistently, and they keep doing it and they don't take accountability for it, I find it very hard to be able to just move forward.
So if they take accountability and then do it again and take accountability, do it again, take accountability, do it again.
Right. And then I decide if I want to. The accountability part is the acknowledgement part, right? it's minimum. It's the minimum thing you can do to get back on good terms. To say, oh, I'm aware that this has affected you. I'm not saying that just because they took accountability, they'll never do it again.
Right.
That's asinine. There's no way for me to know that. Just like I had to talk about in the previous episode, when I took accountability, there's no way for anybody to know if I'm going to do those things again. So that part is nothing I can do with, but that's the minimum amount that I require is for you to be aware that is something that is a boundary level for me that I do not like. Now, if you do something past that, I have now decisions that I have to make, because not only did I express it, you expressed that you received it and you understood it, and now you're still doing it. So at some point, it's disrespect.
Right.
At some point, you are choosing to do things that you know is going to hurt me in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And I have to decide if I want the relationship more or if I want to not be hurt anymore.
Right.
And I get to decide which one it is. So it depends on who the person is and what the action is. But more times than not, I am going to rest on the side of putting my boundary line up with that person. And what I have found in my experience is that the people are more aware and they work to be better. I'm not saying they're perfect and they come back and they do everything 100%. But when they feel the absence of my presence, the absence of my relationship, then they're like, oh man, that's really something that, hurt her and affects her. Let me figure out how I can make this different and how I can make this work.
Right. So
for me, that's like the minimum amount. If somebody can't take accountability, you tell them like, hey, this is affecting me this way. And they like, oh, well, that's for me, that's not something we can breeze over.
See, like, and I agree. And I just thought about something. Like, my dad, he will take accountability sometimes. He'll say something like, dang, man, that was messed up, huh? That's his way of acknowledging the wrong. And now getting him to say why he did it, it's still murky waters there, because it's like my dad gotta go to some place in his heart that he ain't been in a long time. And instead of him doing that, he just changed the subject. And I haven't gotten to the point of understanding why he's there, but I just attribute it to his lifestyle of how he grew up and growing up alone.
And I do give people credit for that. Like, I think that comes with relationship, right? You learn more about people. You learn their upbringing. You learn their experiences. You learn different things they went through. You learn different hurts and traumas that they have. Like, you learn those things about them and you empathize with them about those things, because we are not perfect people, of course. So I do empathize with you, and somebody may not have ever showed you that or encouraged you to do that, or this may be a very tough spot for you to get through. It doesn't make it less tough for me.
Agreed. But like for me, I know that I'm gonna be all right. Like that's how I operate. None of this gonna affect me in the end of it all.
And you are a very rare breed.
Yeah, like cause
you are a very special character in a special case.
Because I realized that I love them, and that's what I'm called to do, and I showcase that. And I realized that everything is gonna work out for me. And
you realize that that's just not a boundary line for you. I think that's what this really boils down to, is that someone that's within that circle for you doing those actions is not a boundary line for you. They have not crossed a line of disrespect for you that's unforgivable.
Agree. And if I'm thinking about it,
it's different.
I'm trying to think, what is my boundary line with that?
That's what we need to figure out. And that's what I be talking to you about all the time, because I don't know where that exists for you. Like for me, there are certain things that no matter who you are on earth, you are not going to do to me.
I don't really
Or say.
I don't really hold on to nothing.
But that's not how that works, though.
I'm telling you, like, you gotta understand, like, my upbringing, right? Like, even dealing with granny with grandpa situation, right? This a lady that didn't feed us, that let us starve in her house as kids, right? And I held on to that. And then come full circle, 10, 12 years later, I'm helping her almost every day for the love I have for my grandfather, right? Like, I just put other things above certain stuff. And I realized that like, even in that moment, right, when I was doing it, it got to a point where I hated doing it. And I used to talk to God all the time, like, God, I wasn't put on this earth just to be a caregiver. Like, I used to really be mad at God because I felt as though that I should have been doing more. And I wasn't, because I was too busy taking care of my grandfather and his wife. And now my grandfather's no longer here. And
that person treated you like nothing on the street.
I agree. And after he died, she treated me, before he died, right when he leading up to him passing, she treated me like I was somebody on the street, right?
Yes. But after 10 years,
really longer than that, it was about 20.
Every single day. Yeah. Every single day of your life.
All right. So, yes. And I realized that the time I spent with my grandfather, the memories that I have, the wisdom he instilled in me, like, that outweighed her. And if I held the grudge with her, I wouldn't have came around him. And I wouldn't have all of those positive things that I have about my grandfather, all of the quotes that he has given me, all of the people that I have met along from my grandfather that has helped me along my journey, right? Like, she got an answer to her issues, her hate in her heart. Like, that's not for me to like judge her on or like, I don't have no ill wishes to her. Yes, when the situation happened, my heart was hurt because I'm like, dang, out of all the stuff that I did for you, like, and the people that you put above me ain't done nothing for you. Yeah, I was hurt. It's like, but at the end of the day, I had to move on because I realized that's where their life gonna be. I got a greater picture, and I think that's really what it comes down to. Like, I've always, like, you gotta understand. Like, I had a dream at 9 years old, and I seen my name in lights. To this day, I still don't know how it's gonna come. I seen this at 9 years old. So for me, I never let anything get in the way of that because it's something that I saw as a kid. So I'm not letting nothing hold me back from that because I saw it. Like Steve Harvey said, a dream is a preview to life's coming attraction. And I'm like, I saw this at 9. And I'm not letting nobody or nothing get in my way of getting to that.
See, I don't think they have to run concurrent. Like, I feel like you could have had a relationship with your granddad and not done all of the things that you did for someone who left you hungry.
See, the problem with that is it sounds great, right? But you gotta understand, she handicapped. So if I'm not picking her up off the floor, who got to do it? My grandfather. So do I want my grandfather, who's also handicapped, picking up his handicapped wife? Like, is that love? Watching him pick her up off the floor?
I feel like, okay, but I guess my thing is, this is every scenario for you. Like, in every single scenario, you create this long-standing chain of cause and effect, which makes you do things and have no boundary. Like, every single relationship has this long-standing cause and effect, which eliminates all of your personal need, all of your personal desire, all of your personal gain, all of your personal respect, like boundary within the relationship, because you have this long-standing chain of all these people who are affected that you love. But it's like, if I don't love me first, I have to love me first. if this relationship is hurting me to any extent, then I can't worry about your feeling. I gotta worry about my feeling first. And I don't feel like you put your feelings first. I feel like you put other people's feelings first, and then their person connected to them's feelings. And then I feel like somewhere down here, you go to God about your feelings. But I feel like a lot of those things you can control in your feelings on your own. You just don't put them where they should be in the space that they should be.
Oh, I really just feel like I was just put on this earth to serve people. But
not in every way, shape, and form, and every single thing you do. No.
It didn't bother me. Like it didn't bother.
It did. You said you cried out to God every day.
No, it wasn't every day. It got to a point that I felt as though I needed to, right? Mm-hmm. And then my granddad wound up dying and put it all in perspective for me. So it was like, just because I had an issue with me internally and I talked to God about it, didn't mean that he changed the situation.
Do you feel like you would be further along in your goals if you put yourself forward opposed to all these other people that you prioritize?
I mean, maybe that's kind of like hard to say because yes,
just think about it.
But I'm saying because it's just like if you took every single moment you had,
not every single moment.
I'm saying if a lot of the moments that I had, right, that I put people ahead of me, right, and I focus only on myself. Yes, I could say I may be further, right, but that's me basing it on my time, right? Excuse me. Who's to say that all of that wasn't purposeful for a reason? Because the goal in which I'm getting to it was part of the plan.
I'm not saying it's not purposeful, and I'm not saying it's not a part of the plan. But as somebody who took the other side of that, my life looks dramatically different.
Right.
Right? Like in relationships, in time, in
right. And I'm gonna say this too, right? But me having the experiences that I had helped you with relationships that you really yearned for. But I learned that from dealing with all these different scenarios in my life.
Right. And I can say the same thing from the different scenarios in my life. I just learned them from a different space. And I learned very young, when I moved out at 18 years old, or was I 19? 18, 19 years old. It was my goal to never have to move back home. Right? Like that was my number one goal, is to figure out how to make this on my own. Because I knew, one, my mom my dad's house just wasn't an option. And my mom wanted to, start her own life and do her own things. And that was the thing, you turn 18, you get grown, you go to college or whatever. So I knew that was something that I wanted to do. So that was my number one priority was me. Because I'm the only one who can make sure I eat, I do, I go, I have. I'm the only person who can make all of these things happen. So my number one priority was me. And I would figure out how to take care of everyone on the other end of that, in which I have been able to come and do and go and see and still spend time with everyone. And in times I feel like I've stretched myself to my extent. But I wouldn't have rather done it the opposite way. Right. I guess when I see, like, when you talk about the experiences that you've had and just the way that you've sacrificed for the people that you have sacrificed for, who have not given you anything, and you come up with scenarios and reasons as to why, and then when that doesn't check out, then you're like, well, they'll never change and they'll always be like this. When I see things like that, I'm like, I would have rather put that into me. Because in that same 10 years, I grew so much focusing on me. And if those people were always going to be who they were going to be in the end anyway, it was best that I had focused on me, because I'm the only person I can control and change.
See, what I realized, though, that's why I was telling you, too, is that in that time, in that frame, it was like I really have a PhD in psychology when it comes to people, and I got it from the streets of Detroit. Like, I haven't went to a university and learned psychology, but I learned it and I really understand it. When Dr. Benjamin Hardy got on that stage and he said all them big words dealing with psychology, I learned all of that from being in the situation and environment which I grew up in. That time frame you said that you were focusing on you, I was focusing on the people, but I learned other people because I don't look at life the way most people look at life. So it's like me understanding this, like you could put me up against anybody who got a degree in psychology, and when we get to talk about how way people operate and the things in which they do, I can have conversations with them because of the things that I learned in that space. 100%. Now I'm at this point of understanding how to tailor that to really branch it into like a career or dreams and stuff that I actually have. So like for me, it all worked out. That's why I'm grateful for you, because you understand. I went to go move with my granddad when I was 14 years old. So from 14 up until when he passed, 3 years ago, like I've been like with my grandfather almost every day. Like he helped teach me how to drive, teach me how to work on cars. Like he helped me create income for myself. Like he was one person, like he gave me the love and nurture and stuff that my father did not give me. So I learned that from him. And I also learned how to really just be somebody to help. Like I never wanted to see people down or lacking or any of that. So it's like, if I had the ability to help, it cost me nothing to help.
And I love that about you. I think that's one of the top character traits that I love about you. I would like to also see you have more boundaries in relationships. But
I'm also grateful for you, because like not only did you gotta understand, like for me being that young, that's all I knew. So it was me operating in a great space of what I knew. So when you came into my life and you like, oh, you could do this. Like, you remember, like I was happy about Boston Market. Like I'm thinking that's like, you feel me? The real good food. Like that's all I knew. I knew Captain J's, I knew Royals Chicken, I knew Little Caesars, and like, I knew how to cook, but I wasn't doing that then because I didn't have a kitchen to cook in. But that's what I knew. So when you came and was like, no, let me show you Nova, let me show you this, let me show you Commerce Township, like, let me show you all these different places. I'm like, oh, okay, like, that's what drew me to you, because not only were you from where I'm from, but you like, this a whole world out here. And now, like, even the world we live in now, it's still a whole nother world that's out here that I'm happy that I get to experience it with you, because, like, from you showing me, from me sleeping on my with you, we both sleeping on my granddaddy couch, to now having our own couch and our own platform, to actually going where we going. I'm grateful, because you really like the yin to my yang, like understanding, like I believe I needed to go through those things so that, because honestly, if I didn't go the route that I went, we might not be together, because I would have been so far in the career, I might would have took off somewhere else and don't know what would have happened. So the fact that it happened the way it happened was for this to be what it is.
Oh, no, we ran in a couple circles.
Because I felt like when me having an issue with, like, I wasn't a caregiver, that kept me home. That kept me with my grandfather, because I know he needed me. I would have been left and moved out of state somewhere. Like that's always been my goal, is to leave the city, because I know it was more out there. Like I practice what I preach. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. So I'm going to different places so that I can see more. I could be around more, because I could hold my own in any room with any conversation with anybody. So I know all I gotta do is be around the people. So I'm gonna go where the people at. But the fact that I prioritized my grandfather first kept me home. Even when I took trips, I made sure I was there for him, because I know he needed me there. I saved my grandfather's life about 5 times. Like, but it was me there. If not, like, I wouldn't have had him the period of time that I had him.
And for me, like, I went and did that in other ways. So, like, for me, I watched my father not have a lot of funds and not have a lot of income to be able to do the things to take care of my sister. So I went to work, because I'm like, okay, there's nothing I can do by staying here physically with you. Like, I can't fix the house. I can't work on it. I can't do none of those things. However, I can figure out a skill to make me enough money so I can send some money back so that I can take care of y'all issues.
Right.
So at 20 years old, I'm taking care of my household. I'm paying all my bills, and I'm doing theirs too. And when I came to the age of being able to tell my brothers that, they like, wow, you was doing that at 20 years old? Yeah, because that's the way that I could help.
Right.
I could not be a physical person to do the things that were needed in the house, but I could get out here and work my butt off. I
Right.
could get 2-3 jobs. I can do those things so that I can be able to send some money back home so that y'all can be able to be
Right.
all right.
And
so that's the way I saw it as.
And I learned that
helping.
I can hustle. You gotta understand. I watched my dad have costumes when we at Belle Isle Playscape. Me, my siblings, we all playing at the Playscape, and my dad got a Polaroid picture, and he taking $5 pictures. He got this lady standing in a costume. He paying her $150 a day, then for at least 12 hours. And he taking $5 pictures. So I'm watching him make all this money off $5 fan photos. And then I'll see him popcorn maker. I see him cotton candy machine, t-shirt press. Like, I see my dad doing all this. So I understand how to make $1. Then I learned how to work on cars. I understand, like my grandfather taught me, like, you got dreams and goals, but you gonna learn how to do this trade, because this could be a plan D if your plan A, B, or C don't work. So that always was able to be put in my back pocket because he taught me this. So for me, I'm like, okay, once I'm learning how to operate and help these people, now when you introduce me to this world and you don't gotta continue trading your time for money, you can make way more money in the time that you've been operating in. Now I'm like, okay, I gotta switch this hustles mentality, because I could go make some money, but it's not gonna be enough for what the things I actually want to do. So now I gotta really perfect some skills that I actually know, like, and what I learned. And when I had to sit back and evaluate myself, I realized, like, damn, you really got a PhD in psychology. And I'm like, okay, let me utilize that, because that could take me a lot further than me turning a wrench or dropping a motor in the car, because it's going to take me longer. And I'm tired of my knuckles. My fingers hurt now for all the years that I was doing that. So I'm like, let me work smarter and not harder. But now it's like, I appreciate you for doing that, because you actually unlocked a new level of me. And now I'm getting to the point of understanding, like, how to really manage it, because nobody in my family has gotten this far. So I'm like, okay, well, if they can't help me, I gotta go find mentors to help me, because I still need the help, because I've never been where I am currently.
And that's how I felt. That's why, like, even in my experiences, right? So when I first got my first job, I'm like, oh, okay, if I could, you remember it, like, well, when I was getting my first couple jobs, I'm like, oh, like $15, $17, $18, like, that's some money. And then I went to work, and I was like, I got the check, and I was like, this is not, this isn't gonna do for the things that I need to do. Like, not only do I have to pay my bills, I gotta pay their bills too. So then I went back, and I'm like, well, what can I do for $25? So then I went and found commission jobs in which I can work, and I can make $25 to $30 an hour. So I'm like, okay, that'll work. This is helping. And then they like, we need more.
And then life getting more and more expensive.
And it get more and more expensive. And now I'm like, I need more. So I'm like, I need to find another job. And then when I went to look at different jobs that I could work to make the money,
they don't exist.
They don't exist. Like, there's nothing you can physically do for your hands to make over $100 an hour. There's nothing you can physically do for your hands. When I went to Google things I could do with my hands, there's nothing you can do with your hands.
It's a few things. You just
like
not doing them. Like, you can get like some hazard pay jobs, welding and stuff like that. You can make $200-$300. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You ain't doing that. Yeah.
Okay, well, for me, there weren't many options that I could do and make over $100,000. Make $100 an hour, because that's where I realized that I would have to be to be able to keep up with all the things that I needed to do. So then I was like, okay, well, what can I do? So then I went to Google the things that were making the most amount of money, and it was sales, and it was the things that you do in your head. It wasn't the physical labor that was going to get you there. Physical labor doesn't pay a lot of money.
Nah.
But the mental skills that you can learn and train yourself,
creativity
and develop,
and imagination,
and the creativity and the problem solving that you can do in your head is infinite.
Yeah.
It is infinite. And when I got in these rooms and spaces, because I'm pushing myself in these rooms and spaces, I didn't know what I was doing when I went in there, but I went in there.
Right.
I didn't know what I was doing when I got there, and I was nervous, but I went in there because the way I saw it, if you could do it, I can do it.
Right.
It's nothing. Y'all don't have no superhero. Y'all not special. Y'all learned a skill.
Right.
You learned a skill. Somebody somewhere taught you something that helped you to learn something else. So when I got in those rooms, I learned a skill, and I took everything that I knew before that, and I perfected that skill as well. And I realized that the way that I can be most beneficial is if I use what's in my head.
Right. And this was great. This was a great episode. We're gonna have to finish.
This was fantastic.
Yeah.
I hopefully answered your question. This has been amazing.
We love y'all.
We love y'all. We might have to pop back in for part 3.
Yeah.
This ran a lot longer than we anticipated. But this has been fantastic. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're having any relationship concerns, issues, or things you just want to talk about, please comment them below. We would love to talk about them. And don't forget to watch this with someone else. If you're in a relationship, you're dating or married, watch our episodes with someone else and have conversations afterwards as to what they got from it and what you got from it as well.
Yep.
All right. We love y'all.
Until next time. Peace.
Peace.